I want to go though and say a big hello to the leader and president of Sinn Féin, leader and president, Mary Lou McDonald, who joins us on the programme today, and she joins me on line one. Mary Lou McDonald, good morning to you. Deputy McDonald, thanks indeed for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Keith. Good morning to
Thanks
you.
for joining us today. The pandemic, you've been quite critical, and the Taoiseach has been very hard on you, you know.
Well, I don't think that's a new phenomenon, Keith. I think that's the slings and arrows of politics. I'm very conscious that we're speaking now at the beginning of what's going to be a very difficult number of weeks for people. And if I have been hard on the Taoiseach and the government, it is with very good reason. I was very, very concerned for a long time that the government was proposing to ratchet up public health restrictions while not ratcheting up the kind of protections that people need just to survive and keep the lights on throughout what's going to be a very difficult time. I mean, as we're speaking today, the estimate is that there's 150,000 people who are not at work, whose jobs are gone, I hope temporarily. And it's tough times. I know it's tough times for businesses as well, whose doors are closed and who are now really worried sick. And of course, it's difficult across society because apart from the economic fallout from this, the social fallout is very significant. And a lot of people are lonely and may feel isolated and anxious and all that goes with these difficult times. So my criticism is an attempt to ensure to the best of our ability that we nurse people and society through an incredibly difficult time. And my second criticism, Keith, is this. Last summer, your listeners will recall we had gotten transmission of the virus down to very low levels. We had really flattened this curve, and that was down to the discipline and the solidarity of people across the island. That was the window of opportunity for the state and for government to act. That was the time that you beef up your testing, your tracing capacities, that you beef up your public health capacity out on the ground, that you beef up beds and capacity within the hospitals. But the government didn't do that. In fact, on the contrary, they stripped things back in terms of testing and tracing. We saw at the weekend the tracing system became overwhelmed, and that's dangerous. That's a dangerous thing to happen, because if we continue like that, we are facing into the next, God knows how long, yo-yoing in and out of these really, really difficult and tough restrictions. And I don't want that to happen.
I was watching the Oireachtas TV during Leaders' Questions, and this is what the Taoiseach said to you, which I thought was very personal.
You need to get your own house in order. You continue to lecture people here all the time about what we should be doing. You don't do it and deliver it where you have power and where you're in government. And it's always somebody else's responsibility, but never yours. That is always your story in terms of any issue.
Now, you responded well and you gave as good as you got there, but it does get personal in politics.
Well, it does. I don't like that. I mean, your listeners will know that I'm no shrinking violet. Let's put it that way, Keith. So, and I choose not to take these things personally, particularly when they are personal. If you understand what I mean, I think when you start to play the woman instead of the ball, I think your argument is threadbare. Can I say, however, as regards testing and tracing in the north, we have been hugely critical of the capacities north of the border as well. And we have also said that what we need really is an all-Ireland approach. We're a small island. We have a relatively small population base, and it makes no sense at all in any shape or form to have two sets of rules, two sets of advice in some cases, Keith, and sometimes the advice is contradictory on a small island. And I've said to the current Taoiseach, his predecessor and government colleague Leo Varadkar and others from the beginning that for this to work, there has to be an all-Ireland approach. So what are we going to do about that? The Taoiseach asks. The Taoiseach knows full well that Sinn Féin ministers on the executive, Michelle O'Neill in particular, has pressed very, very hard to bring others on the executive with us to an understanding that we need this all Ireland approach. And I'm going to keep working on that, because I absolutely believe that it's necessary. And do you know what? Whatever kind of personal barbs are made about me or against me, I accept that that's part of being in political life. So it won't deter or distract me one iota.
It just shows, indeed, we covered the Nightingale Nursing Home in Ahascra, which is in the village of Councillor Dermot Connolly, indeed, one of your own colleagues, Sinn Féin colleagues. But it just shows that the serial testing took place 2 weeks ago, and within 2 weeks, 17 staff who had been tested were all COVID positive, and 25 patients. That shows you in a 14-day period how quickly this devastating pandemic can affect a facility.
Absolutely. And I want to, if I can, Keith, just say to everybody affected, to the residents, to staff, to the wider community, families who I'm sure are just worried, sick and angry, probably, and rightly so. I want to send a message of solidarity and some sorrow to them. I mean, we became alarmed a couple of weeks back or a week, 10 days maybe out, when we heard that levels of infection in population over the age of 80 had trebled. I mean, I caught my breath when I heard that. Mm. And then we were beginning to hear of individual instances of nursing homes and so on. But this event in Ahascra it really takes the biscuit. And I just want to say this: we cannot have a rerun of last spring, where our, precious, valued citizens in nursing homes were forgotten, left behind, use whatever words you want, but they were failed. Mm. And we have to learn, you see, to keep ourselves safe and to ensure that we keep everybody safe. We have to learn from things that we have done correctly and from things that have gone wrong. And my real concern is that last summer, when the opportunity was there for government to make the investment and to get our defences up good and strong, they failed to avail of that opportunity. So in these next 6 weeks, we have to insist, and we have to pressure government to insist that as we emerge from this 6 weeks, that we come out stronger, and that we actually can say the testing and tracing is strong, and we're building more, building more. And Ahascra demonstrates, Keith, that you will never test too much. That's in government come out and they say, well, we've hit the 100,000 target, which they set last spring. I'm very glad that they have. They now have a capacity of 120,000, but you need to keep building on that. The World Health Organization will tell anybody with this set of ears, you will never test too much. Okay. And this mess, this absolute stress now in Ahascra is demonstrable evidence of that fact. And I don't know why in a nursing home such as that, where people were reaching out and looking for support and looking for help, that their pleas fell on deaf ears.
Well,
that to me is unconscionable.
Well, I mean, they asked for help on Wednesday. They got help Wednesday night. They got help yesterday. The geriatrician, Mr. O'Keefe, is on site today. Contract cleaners are heading in there. Extra oxygen is heading in there, I'm told. Blood pressure monitors are heading in there now. So there's a lot being thrown at it just now.
That's good.
Just now it's been thrown at it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you finally, just if you don't mind, as we're going through a bank holiday weekend, if you were Taoiseach right now, if it had come that way, what would you do from a pandemic point of view that Micheál Martin is not doing, had you been, or if you were Taoiseach?
Well, had I been Taoiseach, I can assure you that last summer those months would have been used very, very proactively and productively. In those summer months, I would have moved heaven and moved earth to ensure that the hospital capacity was ramped up. I would not have allowed a situation where the figures we have, the 14 or 1,500 job-ready people who answered Ireland's call. Do you remember that? Be ready or be on call for Ireland. They're job-ready and they're sitting in a waiting capacity somewhere. They need to be deployed. I would have made sure that enough testers and tracers were recruited, not from the very necessary frontline professional staff and therapists that need to be out there dealing with other real health issues. I would have recruited them, and I would not have presented anybody with the 0-hour contract, and I would have gotten our defences up. You see, I accept there is no perfect answer to this. We are in a really, really difficult situation with a virus that transmits very easily, and a virus as of yet for which we have no vaccine. Okay. So in circumstances like that, there is no easy answer, but there are answers, and the answer in this is around being organised, being competent, being quick, and having the foresight to know that the virus was never going to be a 12-week event, that the virus would subside. You lock down to create an opportunity and space to build your defences. Okay. And as Taoiseach, I would have absolutely ensured for the people that those defences were built.
All right. Well done, Keith. Another political broadcast on behalf of Sinn Féin. Didn't realise that you were a supporter and were carrying the card. So there you go. And somebody else just said here, keep fighting for the people. We love you, Mary Lou. And no, that's not from Dermot Connolly or his wife either. And many other complimentary calls coming in there as well. Keith, this caller said, what a wonderful woman Mary Lou is. Very honest. She takes a lot of abuse, but that's politics. She will be Taoiseach one day. And I'm looking forward to that. And that doesn't come from Dermot Connolly either, or indeed any of the others. And Keith, it's a good job. She's not the Taoiseach, and I hope she never will be. So you're getting it on both sides. So you are.
Well, look, isn't that the Keith? Isn't that the great beauty of political debate and democracy? And I actually hope now that Dermot Connolly does actually message something in by way of support. Now that you've mentioned, I think his
wife has taken the phone off him.
Yeah, I just want to wish everybody well, irrespective of your political views or indeed your views of me. All of us now are going to have to dig deep over the next number of weeks. And I just want to appeal to people, and particularly younger people who are fantastic. We have amazing, young, energetic people who love their families and their community and who have had a really, really hard time of it. I want them to know that, you see, when we have an answer to this virus, and when things are safe again, you are perfectly entitled to party at that stage when it's safe, like you've never partied before. But please, in the meantime, we're asking you again to be the great citizens that you are, and actually to lead from the front in the way that only young people can. Okay. And to everybody listening in, I just wish you well. It's going to be hard, but we will get through this. We will get through this together. Of that, I have no doubt. All
right, Sinn Féin President and Leader Mary Lou McDonald, thank you for joining us today. So we'll party like 1999. That means I'll be 21 years younger than I was back then. Or now, right now. Quick commercial break now. It's 9:46. The comment lines are open.
Galway